que vamos. Call this meeting to order. 7:07 p.m. Tuesday, February 16, 2021. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya.
Present.
Vice Mayor Juan Castillo.
Present.
Councilmember Martha Garcia.
Present.
Councilmember Miguel Villalpando.
Present.
Councilmember Carlos Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilmember Luis Galindo.
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Rodan.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Yep. Out to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council?
We did not receive any.
There's no one. There's no items of consent agenda or public hearing, but we have 3 presentations. Number 1, oath and swearing ceremonies for Officer Castillo and Officer Zazueta to be officiated by Honorable Judge Manuel Figueroa, Somerton Municipal Court.
Yeah. Who's Castillo? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. That's a good idea. I thought they wanted him. You guys want to move up here so we can be zoomed in? Have a stand right here. So I did allow Judge Figueroa, and he I'm going to swear you in. The swearing in process, I like to always explain that it's not just a ceremonial situation. It's mandatory by our state statutes that you be sworn in officially before you take official action. Of course, you've already been sworn in as an academy, but we're going to do it officially for the second. When you have your certificate, after I say the word I, you'll say your name, and then you'll follow along with it. Okay? And raise your right hand, please. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution and the laws of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will faithfully and impartially. Discharge the duties. Of the office of Somerton Police Officer. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. And I know we're not supposed to shake hands, but congratulations anyway. They can come in and if they want to take pictures. Give them an opportunity to take pictures. I would like to tell the new officers that you are welcome to stop by. If you have any questions, anything in terms of procedure, as long as we don't discuss specific cases, obviously, because of the conflict of interest, but if you have any questions as to my procedures, what is expected from you in my report, you're welcome to stop by and ask these questions, and if I can legally answer them, I will. If it's a legal question, I'll direct you over to your city prosecutor, and you can answer those questions for you. To make it official, we need you to step up here so we can sign these documents. Okay, and sign for the name. Thank you.
Before I know what these two the second request for the assistant, it's going to cancel that.
And then you can get a copy of that for me.
I'd like to welcome the officers too on behalf of council. For years, we've had a vacancy, so we're finally getting to having a full squad. So we are excited and we want to welcome you to the city of Somerton.
Thank you, sir. Here you go. Congratulations on site.
Item number 2, presentation by Retail Coach Company, an update of retail recruitment efforts done up to date using Somerton's primary and secondary retail trade areas.
Mayor and council members, we have to postpone this presentation by Retail Coach due to the storm in Texas. They don't have any communication power supply and Wi-Fi or internet. So we're moving this item to the next meeting.
This just occurred late this afternoon. There's no power. Obviously, you know that back east and south are blizzard storms. Really bad.
Really hard in Texas right now.
And number 3, presentation regarding section 802 of the City of Somerton Personnel Policy Handbook 2020 relating to personal time off. Mayor and Council, we have Mr. Jorge Lozano to do the presentation regarding the PTO as requested. Looking at our personnel time off and looking at the other municipalities and what the difference is. So the presentation is and so forth. Again, this is only a presentation. There is no action item at this time.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As stated on the agenda item report, Section 802 of the City of Somerton Personnel Policy Handbook offers as an employee benefit several hours of personal time off. So under Section 802, employees that are new hires, we're only going to discuss new hires because I think that's where we have to compare, entry level between different cities and here in the county. So between 0 to 5 years of service, a city employee under Section 802 earns 4.62 hours of PTO per pay period. And that same employee, if he happens to be a firefighter, is earning 6.34 hours of PTO per pay period. And under our current personnel policy handbook, all employees can accrue up to 400 hours of PTO, except for fire personnel, again, firefighters who accrue 550 hours per as a maximum. So attached to this presentation in your agenda packet is a chart that shows what the different cities and our county is doing with respect to PTO. First off, we have what's called a PTO system. We don't have a traditional sick leave. At some point in the past, the City of Somerton decided that it was best to call everything PTO versus having a separate leave bank for sick leave, as some of the other places have, like the City of Yuma and the City of San Luis. As you can see, we're more closely related to Yuma County. So Yuma County also uses a PTO system. As I stated earlier, an entry-level employee earns 4.62 hours of PTO here in the City of Somerton per pay period. That's biweekly. If you look at Yuma County, that same employee in year one is earning 7.4 hours of PTO per pay period. So at the county level, I'd say they are earning a far better benefit in personal time off. Now, remember I said that our entry-level employees, it takes them up to 5 years to reach a different tier of PTO. At the Yuma County level, they're already earning 7.7 hours of PTO in years 2 to 4. And whereas our employees are still stuck at the 4.62 hours per pay period. Finally, when you get up to 5 years, when employees here start earning a little bit more PTO, Yuma County has it at 8.6 hours per pay period. Now, Yuma County does not have a fire department, so there's no comparison to the fire department. In our fire department, as I stated earlier, it's in red. It's indicated in red in this chart. Our firefighters earn 6.34 hours of PTO per pay period.
Actually, if I could interrupt.
Just go ahead.
Even though they don't have a fire department, keep in mind that firefighters work 56-hour work week, 60 hours more than 40-hour work as a common employee. And even at that, a common 40-hour a week employee in Yuma County earns more than our firefighters.
Yes. So going back to this chart, we are, as employees, we're allowed to carry up to 400 hours of PTO. If an employee leaves the city service, they are entitled to only 80% of their PTO after 2 years of service, and 85% between 3 to 5 years of service. Now, as we move farther down to the third column there, we hit what's called general leave. Now, the City of Yuma, that's what the City of Yuma has. The City of Yuma has general leave, but the City of Yuma, a entry-level employee is earning 6.14 hours of general leave per pay period. I guess that's comparable to your vacation leave or your personal time off. And firefighters are earning 8.57 hours per pay period. Now, an entry-level employee in Yuma gets to bank up to 307 hours of PTO total. Compared to us, we have 400 hours of PTO total. Firefighters earn 8.57 hours of PTO per pay period. And upon leaving the city service, there is no distinction whether you leave in day one or 20 years later. You get to keep, or you get a payout of 100% of your general leave in Yuma. As we move down in Yuma, down one more tier, they also have sick leave. In Yuma, you earn 40 hours of sick leave for a regular employee and up to 56 hours for a firefighter. Sick leave is not payable, so upon termination or leaving the city service in Yuma, you don't get sick leave paid out. Yuma also can at times give you compensatory time for overtime, and you get to carry up to 40 hours for first-time entry-level employee and 56 for a firefighter. Again, compensatory time is 100% payable at the City of Yuma. We'll move one road down, San Luis. City of San Luis, employees, their entry-level employees are earning 3.69 hours of, I'm sorry, let me skip. They call it vacation leave in the City of San Luis. So they're earning 3.08 hours bi-weekly of vacation, up to 160 hours that they could carry. Firefighters earn 4.08 hours bi-weekly. They can carry up to 211 hours. And all that vacation leave is 100% payable upon termination. And City of San Luis also has sick leave, like the City of Yuma. They earn 3.69 hours bi-weekly, 4.48 hours for a firefighter, and they can carry up to 360 hours of sick leave. Not payable. It's either use it or lose it at the City of San Luis, but they do have a nifty little formula that you can convert 3 hours of sick leave for 1 hour of vacation. That is how we compare the rest of the county and the cities here. I'd like to say also that, you know, at some point we converted we did have a vacation leave or a general leave system and then a sick leave system. At some point we converted to PTO. We put it all under one bucket. We talked to our outside counsel, which is Pierce Coleman, on what are some of the advantages or disadvantages to having a PTO versus strictly sick leave and general leave. I guess one of the advantages of having everything under one bucket, it's easier to keep track. And number two, at some point, it kind of reduces the absenteeism that cities and towns have across the state, meaning that you're less likely to call in sick just because you have sick leave and you either take it or you're going to lose it because it doesn't get paid out at the end of the day or at the end of your retirement or termination. But when it's PTO, you kind of know that you're going to bank something and you're going to take something, so you don't take those days off. So that's one of the advantages. And I've also, I guess some of the...
You scroll up Yuma County?
Yes, go ahead. Yuma County... Can you do that? Again, Yuma County has our same system. Of interest in Yuma County, back in October of 2007, employees were allowed to keep 400 hours of PTO.
17.
Is it 17?
2017.
No, but it's 2017. I'm
You're
just
changing
looking at the regulations here on the web and it's 2017.
Okay, that might have been a typo on my part. But regardless, they got to carry up to 400 hours. With the new regulations they had in place, they went down to 280 hours for all new hires after October 2017. I think legally we're bound to honor whatever system we have in place for all current employees. But it's up to we're considered grandfathered in. But if the council is inclined to do some other system, then there's another example of how Yuma County did it with new hires. Mayor and council, at this time, do you have any questions or comments on any of the systems that are currently in place throughout the county, or our system in particular?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
If we do a reduction in the PTO hours, and correct me if I'm wrong, legal, wouldn't we have to just simply pay out? Let's say we want to reduce from 400 to 300. We would pay out the additional 100 per employee and then put a cap on it at 300.
I think that would also be an option because employees are entitled to their earned hours. So yeah, that's an option, assuming we have the availability of funds to carry that plan out.
Well,
I did not produce. Mr. Alba, I didn't produce a report showing the number of employees above 300 or 200 per se be able to tell you what the financial impact is if we were to take that, but that would take a little bit more analysis, and we could provide that if that's something that you need.
See, and I think for me, I think that that's I would want to see a reduction because there's a liability. Every time somebody quits, you have to pay out 400 plus if they're at that number. Or actually, what is it, 80 and 85%. So even if you take 80% of the 400, that's 320 hours, which is still more than Yuma. So to be honest, I hate to see people bank them. I want people to use them because it provides us we had a former Chief Cotman that retired and he was maxed out on hours. It was a lot of money we had to pay out.
Yep. One other point that I want to bring out, under our system, mayor and council, an employee who leaves the city service after 2 years only takes 80% of their PTO. I think that's in compromise of, okay, so X number of hours are also considered sick leave. So like all the other municipalities, no one takes their sick leave. They either use them or lose them. I think within our system, we have this safety valve into our system that says, okay, you could only take 80% within 2 years, because just like some of the other cities around town, I guess we can call that sick leave because it's all under one bucket and it's combined. Obviously, we pay out a little bit more as we recognize longevity. That's a nice benefit to have. We go up to 85% between 3 or 5 years, and then it starts going up. But there is within our system the idea that, hey, some of those hours really are also sick leave. And if you leave earlier at city service, you don't get 100% payout like some of the other cities and towns. And I think we're comparable. I mean, I think we're better than San Luis, but I think we're very comparable to what the city of Yuma has when we add up their sick leave hours, 40 plus another 307. So that for them is 347 hours. I'm sorry, 347 hours. Once we subtract the 80%.
Those are comp time.
I'm sorry?
Those are comp time as well.
Those are comp time. I think we're almost at the same level.
And a lot of the history, I know that Manny did have some historical sense as far as the PTO, Judge Manny.
Yeah, one of the reasons we used to, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to have a sick leave, vacation, comp time situation. One of the reasons that the city council at that time decided to go to the system, or one of the reasons why they allowed us to, and they increased the amount of hours you could carry up to 400 or whatever it is because there were situations like myself. I'm going to use me as an example. Back then, we didn't have judges that sat in for us for free. In other words, if I took vacation or I was sick, the city would have to pay a judge to hear my cases. Simple as that. And at the time I was earning, I don't know, this is back in the 80s, I was earning $25, $29 an hour. But when you hired someone from Yuma County, they were earning $50, $60 an hour. And the city said, why are we paying so much? Well, that's what they pay. You can't pay them less. They're going to do the job, and that's going to get paid what they're going to get paid. So every time I took vacation, which is three weeks a year plus sick leave, they were having to hire a judge and pay them the $55, $65 an hour. And they said, well, how can we avoid that? Well, I go, you can avoid it by allowing me to carry more vacation hours. I don't use them anyway. Allow me to carry more. And there was a couple other people in the same, 3 or 4 other individuals. So they decided to do that. They decided to raise the amount they can carry and not force me or force us to take the vacation at a higher rate by bringing other people in. So that was one perspective. But the sick leave worked this way. Sick leave was that you accumulate your amount of sick leave, and you're right. Somewhere people would say, "Oh, I have a sick leave. I'm going to call in sick." If you took 3 or more days of sick leave in a row, you would have to bring in a doctor's note, if you will, saying that yes, he had to take the 3 days. But if you kept it at 1 or 2, you didn't have to bring anything. That necessitated some changes because people who had, as long as they took less than 3 days, they could take every Monday off, for example, every Friday off and get a 3-day weekend for a year or so because they had enough sick leave. So they were trying to cut that away, and that's how we ended up at the PTO situation.
Okay.
And it's true what Mr. Lozano was saying is that combining the vacation / sick leave into one, it makes you less likely to want to take that time off because it's paid time, it's vacation time. That's just a little historical reason how we ended up at where we are.
I was just gonna say, but this was back then, sick leave, it's my understanding that it should be taken when, it's got to fall under certain categories, not just because you have it, you can use it. But just, I actually did the math here, with the new employee, 4.62 hours per pay period. I think that equals to about 15 days, within the year. So that would include their vacation and their general sick leave. Yeah. Right? Am I correct to assume that?
It's the same bucket, yes.
So that's how much our staff, our new employees are getting.
Yes, a combination of 2 weeks.
2 of vacation and 1 of sick leave. Yeah, so it's 120.
No, it's 15 days total.
Oh, see, all right.
We do have an extended illness bank, but that doesn't kick in until after you use 40 hours of PTO.
Can I ask, what's the EID? How do you guys, I know I saw this catastrophic event. What's a catastrophic event? Because at the hospital, we cannot use, I have 188 plus extras because when they cap us at 488, that's the maximum. I cannot go over it. It doesn't matter how many years I work. But the only time that I can use the EID is if I get surgery. If I have surgery or I have to be for 3 months, and at the end of my retirement, if I quit, it's not paid out. It's not a payout. But if I retire, that's a paid out. So for some people, that's like savings when you retire. That's how I look at it.
But plus, it's an incentive not to take the sick leave just to take it.
And we don't use it just to. And what they did a couple of years ago is 40 hours of sick leave, and then you can use them like Manny said. If you use 1 or 2 days straight, you don't need to bring a doctor's note. But on the 3rd day of the 1 to 3 days, you have to prove you were sick. And you can use them. And if you don't use them at the end of the year, you get it payout at the end of the year. And that's an incentive for some people. I like my vacation, so I use my vacation. But my time off sick, I don't, unless I'm sick, I will use it. And this year I had 2 days payout. I got 3 days sick and 2. For some people it's like a little savings for Christmas after Christmas.
And one of the problems, Vice Mayor, was in terms of sick leave. And you're right. You should use the money if you're sick. But who's to define what sick is? I mean, if you have a major migraine headache on a Monday morning and you don't come in, I mean, how do you define that? Or maybe to me, it's a real bad situation for someone, no big deal. So it's hard to define. It's hard to say, no, you weren't really sick.
Question that's against the law question. Like if Jerry, somebody calls up sick, can I question it? He was really sick,
Well, under our system, we wouldn't even have to worry about complying with the law because it's just PTO. You take it and we just don't question it.
That's why we moved. That's what I'm saying. Historically, that's why we ended up where we're at now because of those situations.
And to the question of liability, and the payout at the end of a career. Keep in mind, and Chief Kaufman was brought up. This is a guy that worked way under what he was worth for many years. So they paid him $10,000-$15,000 less a year than he was valued at if he was working anywhere else. He cashed out at much less than that. He cashed out at a good little pot of money. But it was nowhere near what the city would have paid if they paid him what he's worth. If I were in Yuma right now, I'd be earning $40,000 more a year than I'm earning now. So if I cash out all my PTO when I'm done, it's chump change compared to if I had been paid that amount I was worth in a salary. So until we get our wages where they need to be, to me, this is a very irritating issue to the employees. I can tell you right now. All day at the fire station, the guys, firemen are very different than the rest of the employees. They go on the internet, they look up what's on the agenda. They look at the notes, they look at everything they can find. And they're all talking about the same thing. Let's get this right. We're the lowest paid people in the county, and now they're gonna take away our vacation too.
But he said they're gonna take the vacation. We just wanted a comparison because we always hear that, and so this is the discussion for council.
Historically,
The way I see it, there's different systems and we are pretty competitive with what we have. So is there an appetite to change it or leave it the way it is? And
if I may add one more thing, Mayor, one of the things in the past again that we had, because we always had a nice vacation / sick leave or PTO system comparatively. Our wages weren't compared to other ones, but at least our vacation time was. And that's it is one of the incentives to say, hey, listen, we want a little bit less, but look at the vacation time you get, the sick leave, the PTO, et cetera. So we use that in order to entice people not to work for Somerton, but to stay in Somerton. So that's another reason that, in my opinion, I think we're fine where we're at now. And I'm talking on behalf of my department.
And I might be out, Mayor. Like you said yourself, we're pretty much in the same realm of what's being paid right now. I don't see the reason to change it now. But in the future, as wages improve, I can see the council saying, okay, you know what, this battle is down. It's now they're getting compensated at a better rate. But meanwhile, if you're not getting compensated good, and then the council starts talking about, well, maybe we're going to talk about lowering their vacation. I just lost 25% of my people in the last year. You know, how many more days can we do this?
Mayor, to answer your question, no, there hasn't been an appetite, at least from staff and HR, as far as changing anything. No, from our side, there hasn't been no conversation to try to change that at all. I know that, rumors and what have you, or people they've heard, but not necessarily anything at this point has been true in terms of any changes at all. I just wanted to be fair on this. Mayor and council have different opinions and or possible information and future brain changes, but not from staff.
Especially when talking about salaries and benefits, this is always good. And to me, over the years, it hasn't seemed that difficult. And this is probably one of the first times that we've had something that's easy to understand and to visualize. And this is good because it just puts everything out there. And over the years, it's just hearsay this and that, but at least now we have it all, and we can see that just looking at it, we are right there. It's not something, unless council wants to recommend something else, I think we can pretty much close this and move on with.
You're from San Luis.
Mayor, I have a quick comment.
Go ahead, Councilman Villafan.
Yeah,
Yes.
a comment was made that we're trying to take away vacation. It's not, nobody's trying to take away a vacation. We never even touch the accrual rate. This is only simply a suggestion that we should limit the liability that's out there for the city. If they can't understand the difference between eliminating vacation and limiting the liability for the city, then I don't know what to say. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that us as administrators, we allow accumulation of this liability to the city versus encouraging our employees to take time off in order not to have that liability. And that's all I was bringing up, is simply a reduction in the amount that they're accruing, not necessarily take away vacation.
I think one of the key reasons why some of our older or more senior employees have so much PTO is the fact that compared to other cities, we only have one position for everything. And so it's very difficult for that one person to leave. For example, the police department, who they're understaffed, and they just can't take the vacation off it. You can have a great administrator, a great supervisor telling their employees, hey, take vacation. Even if you have to just go home, take a week off. I don't want to see you in the office. They can't do that because at the fire department and police station, we just don't have that luxury of sending our people home. So that's another thing to do. I think we're short-staffed in some of our areas that it's a little bit difficult to convince our staff or to have our staff stay home when we have to run the city.
On the other token, also, just for my work, I have employees that are 25 years and only have 60 hours of vacation, because I have employees that are 8 years and they have 300-400 hours because they just don't take vacation. Not that they don't want to, it's just because they just, each one is very different. One of the things that I think at that time, if I remember correctly, also a lot of people were using sick time Mondays, Fridays, and so forth. If you put that on PTO, then you can consider that unscheduled PTO. And if they're not for 5, 6, whatever times, then they can get reprimanded for that because that's unscheduled. If we have it on our, that's basically what the county has. And one of the things that the county does also, every so many years, 1 year, maybe 2, buyback, like 40 hours or 20 hours. This is an incentive to them so they can, if it's something that we can do, fine. If it's not, then, but I mean, we do that at the beginning of the budget. But I mean, I think it's something that they're earning hours, for example, if you were hired at this date, this is how many you can carry over. If you were hired before grandfather in, then 400 hours, whatever it is. But what I'm trying to say is some people take vacation and they've been, they just want to, and some other people, they don't even want to be home. No, but I want to casa que el trabajo, and it is true. And so each one works very different. So yeah. So and I think that's one of the reasons that PTO was started also. There was a lot of sick time. Mondays, Fridays, especially on the holidays. On Monday or Friday, I'm sick. And now by doing this, then you eliminate that. Because now it's time that from your vacation you're taking away. So I think by looking at this and comparing, I think we're right there. Maybe we can revisit it later on, when things better. But I think right now, I mean, yeah, we're right in the middle of both our
I like that payback.
I did too.
And then
Also,
Jerry had an idea for at least to plan for retirement. So that's probably something that can be
right, for policy's sake and for budget purposes, letting the city know that you're going to retire for previous budget. That way, it's already budgeted for that time. But it also, another thing, it addresses the liability, as Councilmember Villafanto stated, that if there is an option in the foreseeable future to buy back, that's definitely doable because it is on the long term. Not a liability more than anything else, but it's their money, it's their PTO, and we can pay that sooner. And some of them may appreciate it more than others because of the need, especially nowadays. It definitely does that.
I'm part of the committee. One of the suggestions, because I know that looking for better opportunities is always a thing for everybody, and the impact I think it takes on our finances when it's, I'm giving you my 2-week notice and you have to pay me out 400 hours. Well, 85% of the 400 hours. Comparing to Yuma County, just in the foreseeable future, maybe capping it at 280, but paying out 100%, which can be, what we have now at 80% with those 400-hour banking. But, I'm looking at it as like the financial impact. Like Mr. Cabrera said, right now we're trying to see, if you're going to retire, give us a good heads up, and so we can have that allocated into our finances. Like I said, when you find better opportunities and you're out, but I do think it does take we do take a pretty big hit. So something in you know, when we revisit this, maybe capping it at 280, 300, but paying out 100%. Could be something.
If you're gonna retire, that would be good.
Mr. Long, on Yuma County's little thing there, it says, in the bottom section, no maximum accrual, but then you have the 480. What does the no maximum accrual mean?
I can answer that.
Sure.
You can accrue as many hours. Just for example, I had an employee retire last year, 900 hours, but he only got paid 400. He accrued 900, but you can
So
only,
she can use the 900, but she can't get paid the 900.
you only get paid 400. So the other 500 hours used.
But if she had used,
Oh yeah,
she
she
get the $900. Say she got a disastrous disease, she could have used it.
You can use all of it. I mean, you can use as many hours you have to yours, but when you retire or you or termination, or you only get paid out a certain amount.
But you can give another employee up to 160 hours, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, or you can put them in it's called an EID, illness bank.
Yeah.
But it was pointed out that then it's not 100% payout then.
No, it's 100% only on 400 hours.
If you have a 900,
Yeah, so it's.
So that. Well, yeah, if you were hired after the 17th, your payout is only 208. If you were hired before, your payout is only $400.
That encourages people to always max, which is the 400.
I mean, you can carry as many as you want every year,
Yeah, but there's no reason
but at the end, you're only gonna get paid.
there's no reason not to max out all the time, because you can go beyond that, be using the top.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the retire, you can give up.
We're waiting for our turn. Castillo has been waiting here for a while, so please wait for your turn.
You know, I was just gonna mention, that, for someone that has a lot of accrued hours, I mean, to me, it's a concern because, I want our staff to find that self-care, that balance between work and personal life, and if, and I don't know how many individuals, how many staff members we do have that fall under that vote, but I mean, I think as a director, I think we should encourage our staff to really take that PTO, because I mean, I think, I love the fact that our staff loves coming to work, but when you don't take time off, I mean, it's sometimes you do need that mental break, and I was going to ask, Serena a question, what would you think would be, for us not to be in a financial liability, like Councilman Villalpando said, I think that sometimes can put us, we can be vulnerable, and for if we don't have a process established to where like they submit the paperwork when they're going to retire, what would you consider a safe amount of hours?
Safe amount of hours, and it just depends on the position. What I mean, so if Siri has 400 hours compared to someone at a position, it's going to have a different impact. It's going to have a different budgetary impact. Me, I always consider this type of benefit for our employees. So, me, if you decide to go elsewhere, it's more of a I would definitely cut down on the amount of hours that we carry and allow staff to take those hours. To me, anything over 300, I think is in my opinion. I think at the 300 level, we would be okay.
Other questions or comments? Here's mud.
I was comparing the San Luis. I know San Luis looks, they're more money because 448 or 369, but if you have the numbers, they only get like 60 hours more a year than us. But if you notice, the payout on sick leave is 0. And us, it's 80%. So, they're just moving numbers. moving numbers in here, so it looks, if you look at the numbers, yeah, they're paying more, but it's apples to apples, you compare their numbers. And then also, I would like to, I know people have been here forever, but I don't know how many people, like Jorge said, he hasn't, how many people have 400 hours, but in the near future, I guess, we need to see, like you said, if we have 20 employees that have over 400, then we're gonna be hurting financially. So we need to establish something, 220 or something, or what we can do, those people that they don't like to take vacation, at the end of the year, they need to cash 40 hours. And some people like to do that because that's extra money for Christmas. So we can give them that option, for Christmas, the max you can cash is 40 hours. And some people wait, that's for me, beneficial for some people, I don't like to take vacation. I do like to take vacation, but some people don't, and that's a way of encourage them, and so the numbers won't.
If I may, yes, that's definitely something that we can take a look at, next budget cycle. We can evaluate how many employees are at the 450 level and establish what type of risk does that pose to us, to the general fund, to the different enterprise funds, and provide you some input with regards to how to move forward.
One more question. I asked earlier, what's a catastrophic event and how many people have, let's say my wife had a baby. Can I use my EIB?
I believe that does apply.
I don't think so.
The catastrophic event is really not well defined in our policy handbook. It just says catastrophic event. So I guess at some point that's a determination by the HR department in consultation with the manager. So.
In that specific case, Mr. Galindo, if the pregnancy is not a catastrophic event, only if there's an issue with a child and or the mother during birth or even during the pregnancy. Because we use this catastrophic event on my other employer, and we find it clearly of issues as far as pregnancy is concerned that may come from that pregnancy, not necessarily being pregnant is not a catastrophic event, or having a baby is not a catastrophic.
Wow.
Because if
Wow.
It won't be fair.
According to you.
I'm recording you.
3 or 4 years ago, a couple of your employees, they were taking EIB because they had babies.
No, they take FMLA.
But they don't get paid. Yeah, FMLA is different. Sorry, it's my. But I would like a definition, even though it's not paid out. So
let me see if I can pull that up. That section.
But because let's say I would like to have a definition of when can they use EIB, because if you can use EIB for anything, then we're better off than other cities because we have 400. If you look at that way, I would like to get a good guideline. When can you use? Because if I want to have a baby and then that's 2 weeks off, or some people can have 3 babies a year. No, but I would like to.
What you're asking is in the 40 hours. Anytime an illness will require you to lose more than the 40 hours, then it's triggered the EIB. And that's what they consider catastrophic. If you're sick enough where it's going to eat away all that 40 hours PTO, then the next step is to go to the EIB, the extended illness bank.
You're required to use 40 of your.
That's why it's triggered. And as far as the people not taking vacation, like I'll give you an example in our department. We're always odd man out.
Yeah.
There's multiple things in our case. In the last year, with the loss of the employees we've had, there's been a tremendous amount of overtime driven by that. The guys, they like to take time off, they can't, but you can call them in. That's one of the issues. Another issue has been the Fair Labor Standard Act has a little provision in it. Anytime there's a holiday or they take time off, they lose their overtime. Okay? And so guys stop taking their time off. Because if they know this is going to be a holiday month, and if I work extra hours, I'm not going to get paid for them. So they're not going to come in. They'll make us call them a part-timer. Or somebody that's so hard up, he's willing to work for no overtime. And so that's it's a force against. That's why the city of Yuma has actually something he's not reflecting there. The fire department has an additional bank What you do is you accrue 170 hours in there. It's like a third or fourth bank over. And then when you take time off because it's a holiday, you can choose to go off from that bank to get compensated for it. The other thing City of Yuma does is if you're called in for overtime, as a firefighter, you're paid that regardless of if you take time off or not. They push the 30% exercise. Where with the City of Somerton, we enforce it strictly. So if there's a holiday, we have 11 holidays a year. All those holidays are periods in which our guys lose their overtime.
Other questions or comments?
We have a lot of holidays.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
This is Councilman Gonzalez. I was just thinking, and I don't know if it has anything to do with what we're talking about, but as a reference, the importance of keep the, if we open a position, for the city, just take into account that, we have very loyal employees that, they've been here for years with us and they hardly miss any days, etc. And just kind of like to hire within, and the importance of doing that is going to save us a lot of headaches and going through all the things that we're going through, so something to consider in the future when we open a position if we have highly qualified people that can apply for the position and we can do it in-house, it's going to help us a lot.
I think we've spent, enough time here, and from what I hear from council, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is good. We would like to have a buyback program or budget it, and maybe take a look with finance and look at what we can withstand liability-wise and give a recommendation to council. Does anybody, a council member, want to add anything else?
Thank you very much.
Item number 1, the new business. Discussion and possible action to approve first reading by title only of ordinance number 2021-001, an ordinance of the City of Somerton relating to the transaction tax, adopting the 2012-2014 amendment to the tax code of the City of Somerton by reference, establishing effective dates, providing for severability, and providing penalties for violations.
Mayor and Council, essentially this is the amendments that were recommended by the League of Cities and Towns. It's been now more than 60 days since we first gave notice of the proposed tax amendments. We passed a resolution declaring the amendments to be a public record. And so now this is just, I guess, a housekeeping matter to officially do the first reading by title only of the ordinance that you have in front of you. You guys, the Mayor and Council have any questions on this particular matter?
No.
No new taxes.
At every meeting we're seeing this. When is it going to go away?
It's going to go away next meeting, but no new taxes, Mayor. That's the bottom line.
Is there a motion to approve first reading by title only of ordinance number 2021-001?
Second, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Galindo, second by Councilman Roldan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries.
Mayor, do you want to read the?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't have Mr. Almore's voice, but I'll do my best. An ordinance of the City of Somerton, Arizona, relating to the transaction privilege tax, adopting the 2012 through 2014 amendments to the tax code of the City of Somerton by reference, establishing effective dates, providing for severability, and providing penalties for violations.
Number 2, discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of audio visual equipment and minutes management solutions from Conference Technologies Incorporated, CTIC JCJ Technologies for Somerton City Council chambers.
Mayor and Council, for the past couple of months, we've been going through some of these issues. Obviously, on all of our council meetings have been a struggle at times. Obviously, the city chambers have never been properly equipped to handle any virtual meetings, and obviously even Zoom and or what have you. So within that, we went out to bid, or actually we went to get some quotes for some services for our facility. It actually been a struggle trying to get many of the folks to come in and give us some sort of quotes. So there in itself, you do have several of the vendors that came in to give us some quotes. The one vendor we're recommending is CTI with the JCG. And this program itself is what the courts and police have used for Judge Figueroa. I think you mentioned about 12 years or
minimum of 12 years, probably a little bit more, but yes.
So we know the system does work as far as on video and or audio. So it definitely has been working. Obviously, like everything else, technology may have some bugs to itself. And in doing so, we did obviously are recommending that. Now, being that may be, I know that other municipalities and other even school districts may use a different type of system. Some of them may not broadcast it. Some of them may not have the solution in terms of making sure that the videos are available for the public to view whenever they feel like it. So that's a big difference for us of where the videos are going to be located. Obviously, they'll have a server and they would have to update the software when needed. But this is what we're recommending.
Castillo, questions?
We've had very good experience with that particular company. They do. I'm not sure if they sent you a resume, but they at least 30 or 40 courts in Arizona that they supply. The number one thing I learned from dealing with these individuals, if you describe to them exactly what you're going to want and need, they'll build the system for you. So it's very important to describe to them what you're going to use it for, whether you're going to broadcast, use Zoom, you have to let them know so they can build it. If, that's one mistake that some courts have made. Oh, we want a recording system, but they don't add the fact that it's going to be through Polycom, it's going to be through Zoom, and then they go, oh, well, now we have to add this, we have to add that, and they get dissatisfied. So my recommendation to you would be, whoever you go with, is make sure you describe specifically where you're going to use it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to broadcast, so they can build a system. They've been real good. And the other thing that I have to say on their behalf is that when we have problems, and it's always been minor stuff, at least major for us, but minor for them, they've been right there to fix it. So,
I guess I was going to ask, let's say if we go with CTI with the recommendation, is there like an annual fee or upgrades that we would have to pay? Once this is purchased,
There is a annual service fee. Let's see. So there's 2 years additional CTI complete service agreement, $3,149, and 4 additional years CTI complete service agreement, $6,298. So there's service agreements that once it gets installed, that's probably the recommended action is to keep those type of agreements in place in case something does fail.
If I may add to that, Mr. Lozano, is that they upgrade their software online. So you just get a little email saying your system has been upgraded, and they do, at least for us, like it seems like every 4 or 5 months they're adding something to it.
And again, part of the reason why we're interested in CTI is one, the low price, that $41,000 plus it integrates well with JCG technologists, which is what I think we need here to keep track of our minutes management, et cetera. One of the things that really kind of doesn't get mentioned, but has maybe hit us in the past is, open meeting law complaints. And this is an easy way for us to keep track of our minutes and our recordings. And simply, we were sending in handheld recordings to the state at one point, and I think we need to think about those lines, that we reduce our liabilities in that fashion.
As a judge mentioned, we need to be very specific of what we need, and maybe at least either send it to council to review and see what make sure that we have everything addressed, because it's been frustrating, especially with volume. If you're at home, you can't hear, and so and plus now that we need to broadcast everything, it needs to be seamless with that, and of course we've been dealt this virus, and we had to adjust. But now, if we're going to invest, it's got to work seamless. We can't be having any more of this, issues that we've had since we opened the city hall. So hopefully we have everything.
They give a system summary what's going to be included.
And so council members can review it and just make sure that think about the issues that we've had in our meetings. And for me, you have people on YouTube that they can't hear me. They say you got to speak louder. We all have masks, so it's been an issue, and also us here having a meeting and having people the ones that have been virtually. It's just hard, the experience, and I was asking Jerry. He's like, can we just have Zoom? But yeah, we can't. We're all together with the microphones and everything. Just broadcast it. That would work, but it's just been frustrating. So hopefully we have everything addressed. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion? Motion by Councilmember Roldan. Second by Councilwoman Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding additional funding for Somerton CARES Program to assist water utility customers.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. Serena Gallegos, Finance Director. I'm here to provide some numbers for you and indicate that our AV CARES funding has diminished for this year as a result of, I think, the pandemic. And so from October 2019, for the 2020 fiscal year, you funded $10,000 a year for the Somerton CARES Program, as was funded in 2021. So unfortunately, as a result of the pandemic, the funds have diminished significantly halfway through the year. So the program has been very successful in helping our residents with, their one-time issues, and WACOG has been fantastic in providing reports and helping customers along the process. So I'm here before you to request that we increase those funds. My recommendation to you is by $7,000 to get us through the end of the fiscal year. So this year, 47 customers were were helped from July through December for a total of $7,625.26. Yes, thank you. So last year there were 65 customers that were assisted with $8,828.61. So my recommendation is $8,000 to increase those funds by $8,000.
Questions?
Just when this was brought up to us, we were told that it was $2,000 for admin fees from WACOG. What's this additional $400 in 2019, 2020?
So it's 20%, and if you look, it's the $2,000 was for the $10,000, but there was an additional $2,000 in funding at the end of 2020, in June of 2020, because the funding had also run out. So that 400 is just the 20% of the 2,000.
Okay, I thought it was just a flat 2,000. Like for the whole year.
We had a meeting with Nancy and Nancy and I from the county, and they received the county, and I want to do it through all San Luis, Somerton, Yuma, like $6.5 million.
Wow.
And that's to help with rent, with, electricity bills, with whatever bills that was going on. And I know they want to, maybe, we can reach out to them and then find out, how much are they doing per capita, or I don't know how they're going to do it, but I mean, that would be, it was given as a grant to the Yuma County. And they want to do it, not just one area, but they want to do it with San Luis and Somerton. Everything.
Wow, that's fantastic. Is that through WACOG?
And they want to spend it. They only have until December or so much to spend it. So please,
This is Yuma County.
Yeah, get a hold of
who is
Nancy Nice. Yeah, I can give probably not, but I mean, to talk to her and then see what. They just started, I believe, about 2 weeks ago or so.
That's with Yuma County? A grant? Okay.
Yeah, it's a grant to help people with with the rent, and even if that past due bills, they still can grant those so they can pay. If they have any utilities, anything.
What department is she with?
I'll send you the grant. Oh, I have an email.
You have the email?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That would be fantastic.
What's the criteria for people to apply, and how do you guys say who needs it or who do you?
So when we started the Somerton CARES Program, it was intended to be a one-time over 1 year, and the customer had to be in good standing. They couldn't have been shut off. They had to be below a certain income threshold. There are a series of criteria that have to be met in order to qualify for the Somerton CARES Program. I can forward that over to you. I don't recall all of them at the top of my head, but yes, their account had to be in good standing, and they have to have a certain level of income.
I have a question, Zarina.
Sure.
Where would the funding come from?
It would come from the water utility.
Mr. Castillo, I also believe some of that is also funded through the shut-off fees that the city's collecting. I think it's at $40 for disconnect. So I guess is that part of, or maybe it's just in one pop. But the idea was that those disconnect fees could go and fund some of this relief.
So we haven't had shut-offs since last March, or March. So we haven't had shut-offs. So that revenue coming in from shut-offs is not currently being. Yes. So
what
now,
about the CARES money? That's what it was meant to help people in need, and we help the businesses. So why couldn't we use that funding?
Oh, we could. I apologize. Sorry. We could transfer some monies from the general fund into the water, sewer, and sanitation funds to accommodate this.
So when this item here, as part of the emergency declaration, we, being the pandemic, we eliminated shut-offs and shut-off fees. But now, in talking to the city manager, we need to start doing something about it, because there's people that haven't paid. So we need to start, and we're working on a plan. But this is the first. I asked about this monies, but I feel that during the pandemic, especially there's people that are struggling. I say we at least increase it to $200 and double the amount that's being recommended. At least, that's. I feel that we're going to go and requesting to start paying at least, if they qualify for these funds, and we can help them out at least doubling it, considering that we are in this situation, and those CARES funds were especially used this is what they were given to the cities, and we were able to help businesses, and we can help struggling people too, and so that's something that Jerry and I have been going back and forth and kind of working on a plan to start at least recovering those funds, and and this is part of it. So I don't know. My recommendation would be to increase the WACOG for 200 and double, at least 15,000. If we need more, then we can give the people more, because there's people that the plan is to at least ask for a payment plan. We don't have the terms yet, but that's something that we're going to start doing here in the next couple months. This is why this item is here.
If I may, were the guidelines, I guess, because I know the first year, it was strict guidelines. You have to meet, this income level or whatever. We know that during COVID, there were, people working from January through March, April, but then job loss. Mm-hmm. Were you making any changes to that, being that, okay, yeah, I used to make 50,000, but right now I'm at 0?
Yes. So if it's a catastrophic event, if they lost their job, if they don't have their, the income to pay for it, they definitely qualify for the program. If they're over a certain income level, then they don't. So if they experience job loss or unemployment temporarily, then that's taken into account. The other item that I'd like to bring to the mayor's attention is that currently one household or one account qualifies for $200 in relief. So if you want to increase it, this would be the time, if you'd like to provide direction, to increase the amount that one customer would receive per incident for the rest of the year. Thus far, it's been $200 is the most that one customer would be able to receive.
It was 100, so 200.
200. Like I said, it's up to you how much you want to increase it by. My recommendation is $8,000. I believe that would get us through the end of the year. And if you'd like the monies to be transferred from the general fund into the water, wastewater, and sanitation funds, then I can definitely do that.
How many accounts do we have that owe more than $600?
We have several. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but we have 3 pages worth of delinquent accounts. Not all of them may qualify for this, because there's also some accounts that people are just not paying because they're not being shut off. So we have some reoccurring offenders on that list. Luckily, we don't have a lot of businesses on there. So, but we do. I mean, I recognize some of the names from from the fact that we just can't get them to come in and make a payment. So if you'd like specifics, I can definitely provide Mr. Cabrera some, a listing of those that.
Yeah, how many do, like, is there people that owe $800?
I do have that specific information on a spreadsheet on in my desk. I just don't have it with me right now. It's about 4 pages worth of accounts. So about
like
$20.
$800 more or just delinquent?
Just delinquent. Delinquent over 90 days.
200, and then there are people that owe 1,000. You can increase it then.
Like you were saying, in that
and we got funding from the federal government specific for that, and people are struggling. And we're gonna go and start asking for a repayment plan, and we're still discussing fees and stuff, but or interest, and it's just tough times. And if they qualify for it, then and if we have $1.6 million, what is $25,000 for people that are struggling? And we might not go through it, but if we can increase, and I don't know, that's just my feeling. But we're a council, and
this will come from the CARES funds, right?
Well,
not the general fund.
Oh, you just heard that they're not coming. They're going to come from the other fees.
Remember the CARES funds? I apologize.
Oh, go ahead.
But the CARES funds have been used for personnel already for public.
But not $1.6 million. There's still funds.
No, so the CARES fund went to offset our public safety personnel. So we wouldn't be using CARES funds. It would just be the funds from the general fund that would be transferred to our water and wastewater funds to accommodate this program. So right now, each account is eligible to apply for $200 worth of relief. If you want to increase that, right now is the time so that I can let WACOG know that there have been changes to that. And if you want, like I said, my recommendation, I think we'll be fine with $8,000, but if you'd like to fund it further or more than that, just let me know how you feel. If you want to go with the $8,000, and if the funding runs out, I can definitely come back and let you know where we are and how that went. Right now,
so we increase it to 300, and if we run out of the 8,000, then come back and see how that goes.
I do like that, the idea of helping, but we have to be very careful because there's chronic offenders, like you said, and people just taking advantage and that's hurting those that really need the help. And I know, people are hurting, but we need to be, some people are just, like you said, chronic offenders that they haven't paid because they don't want to pay because they said, they're not showing money. But, there's people in need, and unfortunately, that's hurting those people that really need the money.
So when we started this program, that's why we set criteria. So not change the criteria. There's criteria of income, and there's a reason why these people can't pay. So, so that there is a criteria there. We're not just giving money away to people that just don't want to pay.
All those people you have on the list qualify for this?
No, they don't. The people that are
if they qualify,
they can't be delinquent.
They can't be delinquent. So if they had applied for the CARES money prior to being delinquent, they would definitely go through the process. But because the list of, people who have the balances of, over $800, they wouldn't qualify for this.
Now you can bring it back and maybe allow for delinquent, because obviously they're delinquent.
Yeah, then so that would be a change to the plan, to the way that we've introduced it and the way that it's been handled.
Yeah, and I think at least for the pandemic, I think that's something that will be acceptable, and especially we gave some clemency to those people, but now we want to recover those funds, and if we can help them out, at least for those that qualify. Delinquency, that's obviously they are, so we would be, so let me understand, delinquent, you can't apply for wake up.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't meet the criteria that we set up for the CARES fund. They'd still have to be in good standing in order to apply for CARES funding. Correct. So
I would like to change that permanently. If you're going to ask, it's because you can't pay and you're delinquent.
And I think you know who your repeat offenders are, like you said, and those are people that wouldn't qualify. But I think you can gauge and see, well, yeah, this person is delinquent because of, COVID or.
And see, when we sent out the criteria to WACOG, we were very clear we didn't want people taking advantage of the program, and we wanted to help as many residents as possible. So that's why when we announced the program, and when people came to talk about it, it was said, okay, make sure that you don't become delinquent. Make sure you're not on the shut-off list. Make sure that you're making your payment. If you're not going to be able to make your payment, that's when you apply for the WACOG fund and you go through the process. So you become delinquent, but you're already in process of applying for these funds. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense to me that we approve that when it's delinquent. Well, obviously people are in need and they're going to request because they can't pay. So
just to give you Mayor Council an idea, there's about $45,000 on 90 days delinquency, about $15,000 on 60 days, and over 30 days is $50,000.
And
it is.
And those who are considered delinquent, it's not for the current month, it's for the month prior to that. So you have essentially a month and a half before you become delinquent, before you get to that point, or before you hit the shut-off list, before we would shut you off.
Karina, as they amend the qualification standards and make it less strict, is that going to change your recommendation and go up from 8,000 to 16,000?
Most likely, as well as to me, an acceptable, in my opinion, if council would like to do that, I would like to recommend that we help those who have been at least trying to make payments, because there are people who have made $50 payments, $100 payments. They have been working, and then you have a lot of the people on the list that have never made a payment. And to me, what the message that sends is that because you're not shutting me off, I'm not going to pay, and I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to come up with the money. So we do have several people on the list that have been paying $100, $50, something to reduce the amount of their account. So if that's something that you'd like to do, I would recommend that if they have been making payments, that they may qualify for it. But you have a lot of people who are really taking advantage of the fact that we're just not shutting them off and just allowing the balance to accumulate month by month by month. So
to me, that was always a concern when doing this, but we looked at what was happening, and that's what we discussed. And to me, if they qualify, I don't want staff to be picking and choosing who they're going to and looking. It's going to create more work. If they qualify and if they get their WACOG, and if we remove that delinquency, the item there, because we want to help those that we're going to start requesting them to pay. So if they qualify, then so be it. And if we need more funding, then we'll look at the funds, and if it's available, then we will. If we can't, then we can't. But at least if to me that's the concern always. We started this as part of the emergency declaration, and now we're gonna start asking them to pay, and it's gonna be hard. There's two family members that have let their credit cards, get out of hand. I can't understand it, but there's, issues like that, and now with the water, same thing. It was easy to ignore it. We're not paying. Now it's here, and it's happened to a lot of people. And if we can help out, then this is what this program was designed, and I want to look to change that even permanently, because we can offer that if they're delinquent, then if they qualify, then.
And that's only once a year they can apply.
Yeah.
It cannot be applied every year. Let's say I applied this year and I get my $200. I want to apply next year, but I still have a balance of $400. Do I still qualify, or do I have to pay the $400 in order to apply?
Well, it was on a rolling year, so you have to wait 12 months before you can apply again.
You would probably be shut off by then in
Yes.
a normal year. So you wouldn't wait for 12 months and then, I'm going to get another subsidy. You probably need your water in those 12 months.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, if we're going to get it from the general fund, what is going to be cut from the general fund to accommodate this?
Currently, there's nothing that's being cut from the general fund.
Well, but we're going to use funds from the general funds for this, right?
Right. If council wants to use funds from the general fund, then it would have to come out of the contingency.
Send them a letter like Benny does. If you pay me 80% on your ticket of a rate, can we send that?
That's something that
It's an option.
That I saw the plan, and I thought it was too strict. There was interest involved, there was fees involved, so I asked that to relook at that and have more, not the court's way. I want to have a guideline, but at least understand that there's people struggling.
I'm not cold-hearted, but I just want to get it, there's people that really, really need, and I do understand where you're coming from, but we have to be real. It's a fine line between those chronic offenders that they're going to do it, doesn't matter, to get out of it. It's a balance, and that's why we don't see those people. She does, and she knows she can recommend this,
And initially, that was my concern, but when the pandemic, there were several council members that approached me, and they wanted to establish this. So those were the, what you took. I knew that there was going to be some people that would be, it would be easy, similar to a credit card, not pay, and eventually
it has to pay eventually one day or another.
So yes.
And also, we're with WACOG. So our criteria, does WACOG will follow what we tell them, or do we get money from them or not?
No, they will
just
follow
run
our criteria to utilize these funds. So right now, the criteria is if they're delinquent, if they've been cut off, or if they have income threshold, then they don't qualify. So if you would like to make a change to that criteria, yes, please let me know right now, and that way I can notify them.
Do we have to do it through WACOG, or can we do it directly with them?
Be more staff.
Because then we have to pay $2,000 to WACOG, and we can.
Well, we have this program, and I feel it's been good. Now it's a special year, hopefully a year, and then we can go back to normal.
From a liability perspective, it's just going to be a nightmare when we have customers saying to Zarina and her staff, you gave her this, but you didn't give me that. We'd rather have an outside agency. But Galindo's family got the subsidy, but not so-and-so's family. It's going to be a nightmare.
Yes. So that's really the purpose behind having a third party handle that, so that all we do is give them the balance on their account, whether they're delinquent, and then WACOG does the rest. They come in, they request a referral, or they go to WACOG and they say they want to apply for the CARES funding, and
we really don't, outside of providing a balance and providing WACOG with their account information, that's all we do. That's why WACOG takes care of the program.
One last question, maybe it's only for Somerton citizens or
President.
or the Mesa, because we take water over there, or that counts. Because if we go on the count, they qualify. But if it's only residents, why are we being,
Residents, I would say.
well, but if
They pay taxes here.
Well, I feel about it, I don't know, to me, that's kind of tricky, because if you said accounts, to me, they qualify.
I don't remember the fine print. I have to go back and look at that because I don't remember. I have to be honest.
In principle, using taxpayers' money when they're not paying city tax, then that wouldn't make sense. It's just for because we're using tax cards, so it's city residents' money that we should be using. So we should look at that, and I would say it's Somerton city residents, because that's something that we're providing, but this is an expectations for.
So some of the delinquencies might be obviously.
So currently, from what I can recall now, is if they have, because the initial $10,000 that funds the program is for water, sewer, and sanitation customers, and it comes out of those three funds. Now, so that's why I believe that people in the Mesa would, or the customers in there would qualify, because it's only for those who have, exactly, it's coming from those funds, from those rates.
And remember, it's funded through delinquent fees, so yes, they pay delinquent fees when they get, so they do pitch into the pot.
Right. Exactly. So now if you're talking about transferring from the general fund into the into the utility funds, then that's different. But then that's going to create a bit of a challenge for WACOG with regards to identifying who's a resident and who isn't. So,
especially we remove that delinquent fee and leave it at 200, at least that's going to qualify more people to apply for those funds, and we can revisit if they run those, the recommended amount runs out, and then we can look at it. And if we can have maybe a package for those people identifying other areas where they can request. This is what we're offering as a city, but they might qualify for the county's funds, and we might give them the information so they can go through them, and at least in the letter or whatever we send them, we can offer the resources where they can go and request help.
we are doing that currently. So whenever they apply for WACOG or the Somerton CARES funding, WACOG also runs them through the series of programs they have, and they have a APS and other programs that they offer to them as well. So in that, when they go to apply, they do receive those resources that they may have.
I'd like to make a motion to remove that, or anyone have questions, comments? To remove that delinquency criteria and leave the amount that people are at 200 and the recommended amount, and then we can revisit if we need more funding. There's a second by Councilman Roldan.
Mayor, just to be clear, did you mention a total amount? You mentioned 200, remove the delinquency, but how much additional funding are we putting in?
We're gonna leave the funding that she recommended, and then revisit it.
They recommended $8,000.
$8,000 is on.
There's a second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Summer current events.
came back positive. As you may well know, that we're testing our wastewater treatment plant. It came up back positive, but not an alarming result, which actually corresponds to the positivity rate. So there's no need of at least any actions at this point from the positivity rate on the wastewater test. But if there was, then we would have done more COVID testing around the neighborhoods, depending on where it was at, and probably more testing on the lift station in the neighborhoods. Border Patrol is planning to release 15 migrants seeking asylum a day until Border Patrol gets to their COVID capacity. They're not here yet, but they're coming. And we're hoping that through the governor's office, Arizona, DEMA, FEMA, or federal government can provide transportation to their destination. Currently, there's only one Greyhound bus, and it leaves once a day with 46 people. And I know that Yuma County has taken initiative as we are seeing that this is coming down the pipeline. So the biggest issue is many of our nonprofits, even churches, are due to COVID restrictions, and for volunteers, we don't have enough folks to help in that area if they come to Somerton. Retreat is scheduled for March 5th and 6th. Chief, one of the chiefs. First one.
Good afternoon. It feels like I haven't been here for a long time, but a report real quick. I lost it. So we're getting ready to open our facility. We've set up some signs up in our lobby area, so we're getting all the logistics ready on that. The community we can encourage and ask the community to continue to report to us by phone. Arizona Western College Police Academy will be held on March 4th at 3 p.m. So I don't have the details yet as to who they're going to be allowing into the graduation, but we're going to be having 2 new police officers and 1 reserve cadet. And we would like to send out a message, a reminder to our community to not to park on the sidewalks, do it for our elders, for our disabled community, and for our children, hopefully, when they start going back to school. Thank you.
So strange. Just a couple minor things. Well, one's kind of big. I've mentioned in my weekly report that over the 14 years we've been in the public safety facility, 3 times we've had the sewer back up on us. And the first 2 times our wastewater people flushed the line. This 3rd time was real bad, and they went and they looked in the pipe. And the original installed sewer line from the public safety to where it feeds has about 5 dips in it. And so that's going to end up being a capital outlay program that we'll put in the next budget year. Meanwhile, what the fire guys will do, if it happens again, I don't think it'll happen for a long time, but if it does, we'll just get our fire hose and put it in there to clean out and blow it out. That's what we did the last time. And since then, we haven't had any problems. We just, the council needs to be aware that for the budget, there'll be a capital outlay item coming up. As far as the COVID for 85350 for us here in the area, we're doing not great, but we're not doing bad. We're a little bit above 10% of bouncing up and down, but we haven't got anywhere near to the 20%, 25% that we had been in the past. So it's drawing down slowly, and we're headed that direction. And right now, the fire department's working a lot with Councilmember Garcia. I keep calling her Vice Mayor, Councilmember Garcia, for the COVID clinic. And so we'll be helping with the vaccine. Thank you.
Victor?
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. It's an update on the concept design for the 35 acres. We have a J2 engineering designing the concept. It's going to be presented before you on the council retreat. Remember the 35 acres that we have, park and the what to do with the land. So J2 is going to create at least 3 options so you can review during the retreat and let us know any new direction after that. Also the commercial subdivision plat is moving forward. It's going to be on the planning commission on this coming Monday, and it's going to be before you on the 2nd meeting, I think, in March, to approve the final subdivision plat for the commercial subdivision. That's the location we have in the A light A lots commercial, the commercial development, Sunset lot, and we're still working with other potential companies coming into the location. As you know, the Oriental House is being remodeled. The location of the used to be El Taco Loco, but the gas station on Bingham and Main Street. They're working on the gas line right now, and then do minor revisions on the floor plan. So that's according to the owner, business owner. He wants to open in March. So hopefully we have a new restaurant in town. Also on the same location, Edais Engineering is still working on the car wash design for the location on Bingham and just south of the Main Street, the south east corner. Once we got the design, they had to make some changes because during the pre-application, city staff recommended some minor changes to the location or some kind of items on the design. So that's coming up soon, a new restaurant and also a car wash. Thank you.
Mrs. Gallegos.
Hello again. Right now, Finance is working on the budget, preparing for our council retreat and making sure we have all the numbers updated for you. And we will be I haven't scheduled them yet, but I will be scheduling meetings with our department heads to review the numbers, as well as with Mr. Cabrera. I would also like to know who within council I should schedule the mayor and council meeting with for this next budget cycle. Because that was one of the requests that Mayor had from last year. So I'd like to know who we should contact for that meeting.
Vice Mayor and Councilmember Garcia and myself.
Okay, very well. And then we'll do that. And we're also looking at our procurement policy. We're working on several contracts with our department heads, as well as looking at the ERP, at a new ERP system. So we are definitely very busy. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, did you have something else for me? No? All right, thank you.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes, Mayor, just on the HR side, we do have our compensation study completed, and it'll be presented to staff tomorrow. And at some point, it'll be made available also to mayor and council. We're in the process of hiring a new IT person to help out. Interviews are underway, and our security officers coming our way soon too. There's a couple of applicants, and things are working as well. Thank you.
Judge Figueroa, I don't know if you have anything to mention. This is the first time you've been here, so.
I have nothing to report, other than that we did receive 114 applications for the security position.
Oh, wow. From Carmen Juarez, Community Development Director, several pre-development meetings were held by staff this week to review various projects. Among these projects, obviously there's a new car wash, as Hector had mentioned. An assisted living facility proposed on Avenue B in Commercial Division on Main Street and Cesar Chavez Avenue, and a lot split proposed by Somerton School District. Staff continues moving these projects through the different processes. The Plan and Zoning Commission will meet on February 22nd at 6 p.m. 2 items will be on their agenda. First one will be to vote selecting the chair and vice chair positions. The second item is a preliminary and final plan review for the recommendation of the commercial subdivision north of Main Street and Cesar Chavez. Public residents are invited to attend this meeting virtually. Mr. Mesa, Parks and Recreation Division.
Good evening.
The mitigation plans. Oh, you're here? Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor. This is Mesa, Parks and Rec Director. As Mr. Cabrera was mentioning, we are reviewing a plan with Recreation as a mitigation plan for future activities in preparation for a possible reopening. Also, staff began working on Dock Park to improve the level of service at that site as of last Friday. And The change order for Joe Munoz Court was approved on 2/11 of this month, and the project is moving forward with construction. Thank you.
From Public Works Director Sam Palacios. He came to work.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. An update on the water tank project. Project is 100% completed and the tank is working now properly. An update on the Cesar Chavez Avenue project. Contractor utility crew completed the installation of the storm drain laterals for all the catch basins. The concrete crew continues pouring concrete for vertical curb and gutter, and the electrical pipes installation for the streetlights were completed. And an update on the Valle del Sol Phase 3 subdivision. Contractor will start paving tomorrow for the rest of the streets. Thank you.
That concludes.
Councilmember Garcia.
The food drive that we had on Friday went very well. Usually we have to turn people away because we've run out of boxes. This time there was plenty to go around, and according to the nonprofit, they said that we should be expecting, the same amount. So it's just we need, if you guys can help, because I shared it on my personal page, just help us share it on each of us are on our personal pages as well, so we can have help the most we can. Also, the vaccine clinic is this Friday. We've been allocated 500 vaccines for the City of Somerton residents. So far, we have over 300 on our list. Calls are still coming in. We know that. I want to thank staff involved for helping us with that. 500 vaccines it's a good number to be able to juggle. So we've been having help with that.
Is this for 65 and over?
We're following the county health department guidelines. We're focusing on 1B priority, which is 65 and over, educators and law enforcement. We had, like we did in towards the end of January, where we have the 1Bs that are essential workers on standby because, the day of we have cancellations. So we're calling up, and people that are still on the 1B considered essential workers. I've talked to Diana, and, she says that as long as we keep it at 1B, we can have those people on standby. So we're following all the guidelines. We don't want to lose any allocations. So
How many people signed up for?
Right now we have a little bit over 300, and I know that today they did a live and calls just started pouring in. So we're hoping
in addition to that, Sunset's going to have 300.
Oh, that's true. I saw the report.
We're going to have 300 for Sunset, and those are already filled.
Yeah.
So
people have been asking me that have issues with transplant and medical issues, and it's because I know the Sunset Clinic has been calling them if they have a pacemaker, you need to come and get your vaccine.
But we still have to abide by those priority lists. Unfortunately, those people that do have underlying conditions, in my opinion, that should have been included in the 1B, they fall under 1C. So we can't skip that. We can't jump onto the whole new category.
Workers 1B or no?
Essential workers, yes, but there's you have to read exactly what an essential worker is.
What is that? All right.
Agriculture, trucking, food industry, stores, all 1B essential. Utility workers.
But at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. But thank you all staff, and if you guys have anybody in mind that is 65 and older, we're still looking, to target that population more than anything. And it's going to be this Friday from 9 to 3 at the gym.
Somerton residents.
Somerton residents.
Well, we got a call also from Francis here, from the senior center, and we added some seniors over Campo Amarillo, so housing, so they're there. Last time that also we took some of them off, they drove themselves to there. So it's for that. Now, because of that, now we got seniors from San Luis and Yuma calling out like, no, I'm sorry, it's only Somerton. But we belong to the housing, I know, but this is only residents of Somerton. So I guess the word's spreading.
It's hard because, but, you know, you want to focus, much of the focus is in Yuma already, and they have a lot of clinics. So I think each municipality getting their small allotment, you know, makes a big difference.
Yes, Mayor.
No, I just want to thank all staff involved in the Palooza event. You know, I drove by early and saw that there were many residents at the event, and you know, everyone adhering to the social distance guidelines. I mean, everyone was lined up. So, you know, I just drove by. You know, I didn't stop or anything, but it seemed very well organized. So, you know, I also, you know, when I read the fire department report, you know, I think it was great when I, you know, that this was the first week that you guys did not transport a single COVID-19 patient. You know, so I thought, well, that, you know, we're trending in the right direction. Seems like we're trending in the right direction. So that kind of made my morning when I read that. So that's all I have, man.
104.5 fever, no sé. Whatever you do, don't call. Councilman Gonzalez?
You have to step out of emergency.
Councilman Villalpando? Well, we have a four-fronted meeting next Monday, and that's all I have. I don't have much. I've been.
Councilmember Linda has nothing to say.
Oh. Ya hablaste mucho. Oh, madre. I don't.
No, I don't have nothing.
Sorry, Galindo. Still haven't returned. Hawaii. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session? Motion by Councilmember Garcia, second by Councilmember Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Buenas noches, thank you.